it's actually cracked all the way through there. So I only had 5 miles on this. Thank God I removed it. Ah yes, Jeepterman, the beast. What can I say about her? Well, it's been a while since you've seen her. I've been working on carburetors and things like that, but I think it's time to come back and start to look at some of the things that we're sorting. The main aim is that now that I'm happy with the mechanics of this, is to start buttoning it up. So you can see we've got a fender on there. Now this is a NOS fender, just been trying to get it fitted. Now if you remember when this tub was built, it sags a little bit at the front here, so it wasn't built on a jig or anything like that, and the front has drooped a little bit. So what that means is, up here, this causes problems with alignment with the fenders. So up here, this forward bit here is too far forward, and this bit is back because it's drooping a little bit. So what that means is when you line up a perfectly brand new fender on a perfectly straight frame with the positions with where it should go, this tub doesn't fit in correctly. So we've had to do a little bit of jiggery pokery to get it to work, which is understandable on a vehicle where you're putting on bits which have never been on there before. If you've got your Jeep, which has been together for 75 years, they've all worn in together and got worn out together, so it'll go back together quite straightforward. But putting on brand new parts on parts which have seen a lot of work in their previous lives is a little bit more difficult and a little bit more challenging. So what we had to do then is, I couldn't do anything with the tub. The tub is fitted, it's all bolted down, it's aligned, the alignment is good for, you know, how the holes all line up and things like that. So there's no way I can really change that. So what I decided to do was to cut the piece here out a little bit, just take out a tiny bit, cut it out, re-weld it back in so everything aligns perfectly, it doesn't draw it into positions it doesn't want to go to. And then underneath I had to cut here, so we cut a line down here so this portion could move back a bit and it'll go up to the step there and it'll come in properly down here as well. And then we've had to weld in just a little fillet, so I've got a triangle of metal going all the way up. Obviously it looks horrible at the moment because it's not dressed out and painted and what have you. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, there's a little fillet in there which allows you to pull it back a little bit. So what that means is this fender won't fit any other Jeep, it'll only fit this one. It's custom fit to this Jeep now. Obviously it's not ideal, I'd love to have just put the tub on there and everything lined up, but that's not how this is going to be. So you'll never know, but it's all ready to go. So that fender's on there, and the fender's on there because I need to sort out the electrics and finish those off. The regulator goes on the fender here, and you can't have the charging side of the electrics if you haven't got the regulator fitted. So what we've done then is, if we come around the back, we started to fit the electrics, and we've got my NOS tail lights in there, which are great, my CB tail lights fitted in there. The main wiring loom goes underneath it, and we've started to put the electrics in here. The push-pull light switch is in there, panel lights, original panel light switch. Oh, that's interesting. The electrics aren't connected up, but when you pull the panel lights out, the fuel's jumping. Interesting there. Something must be touching because it's grounded through it. So something must be touching somewhere, which is causing it to do that. Interesting one. But we've got all the instruments now fitted in there, and they're all original instruments apart from the temperature gauge down here. I'd love to get a proper temperature gauge for it, but I haven't found one yet. But these are all looking fantastic and they're all ready to go. So obviously I've got to sort out something here. This fuel gauge is actually in its original paint there, so that's the colour match between the original factory paint and the paint there, which is pretty cool. But this will all get sprayed up, these will all be masked over, and when it comes to re-spraying it completely, I'll go over it and you won't be able to tell because I've been working on it a lot and I haven't really taken care of it. You can see all the grease and crud and bird poop on it and things like that. So it all needs sanding back and having a final finish over when we're going for it. That's how they'd have done it in the factory, you know, everything would have had a final touch up, and that's what we're going to do here. So we'll get on with that. But coming round, you can see got the electrics connected up there, or sort of connected up there, and been working on it. One of the big problems I've had for the past couple of weeks is sorting out the steering, and it's been a nightmare. Let's have a look what it looked like when I opened up the steering box after about 5 miles driving. Ooh, looks like we struck gold. Glittery. It shouldn't be glittery. Yeah, it shouldn't look like that. That's not good. You don't want to see the magic gold glitter in there after 5 miles. That's a problem. So the steering on a Jeep should be pleasurable. It shouldn't be horrible. It shouldn't feel like you're going to die at any second, you know. There should be play in it. The Jeep Ross box and the way it's designed means that in the centre it's tight, and off to the sides it has a bit of play. And we can look at it here, how I've got mine set up. So we need to come around just a little bit. Ugh, it's obviously difficult to do when it's... Right, where's my centre? Okay, there's my centre. And in the centre, let's get him, there's, you get, you know, a little bit of movement, nothing crazy or anything like that. A lot of that movement will be movement down in all the linkages and things like that. There's springs and what have you in here to take up some of the slack. But if you move it away from the centre, excuse me, steering, you should have more play before it does anything. You can see they're just moving a little bit, so a lot of that is linkages, but you see there's play. Now, it shouldn't be like it is here. You can see there that in the centre it's locked, but as soon as you come fractionally off the centre, it's suddenly got a whole load of play. That's not right. It shouldn't be like that. It should be more gradual. You should only just be able to tell it's coming into the centre. And you could say, well, that's how, you know, how it is you set it up down here, because you set up how much pressure it takes and to move it using this little guy here, the adjuster here. And it's not that. Those steerings, that worm which came off there, as soon as you got it even feeling vaguely tight in the centre like there, it sort of locked up. And as soon as you took it off the centre, there was all that movement. It shouldn't be like that. It should be gradual like this worm is, this properly designed worm in here. This is made by WAT, or WAT in Spain, properly hardened, unlike that one. You could see the magic glitter in there is because it's not hardened. The sector has been running in it and just chewing it up. So there's something up with those sectors and worms. They're not quite right. So I don't know what's going on with them, but it ain't good. It should be fun. It should be fun to drive like a go-kart, you know, when they're first set up. Obviously, as they get a bit more worn, you're going to get more play in them and it's going to wander a little bit, but it shouldn't be scary. It shouldn't be nasty, and that's what it was like. And I didn't like that. So I spent a lot of time working on this, trying to get it right. And now it feels pretty damn good. So happy with that. One of the interesting checks for one of these carbs to see if it's set up properly isn't just to waz it like that, it's to do a slow pull on it, and if it dies and stumbles then you know you've got issues. So let's do a really slow pull on it. And then just a touch again. You see, it's that first little bit, if when you just touched it, it drew up and then died, then you know you've got an issue. Nice. Geez, gents, I just finished this video actually, but I spun the worm round and looked at the other side. It's actually cracked all the way through there, so I only had 5 miles on this. Thank God I removed it, because if I kept that in there and that stayed in there and I'd been driving, then God knows what would happen. So if you've got one of these fitted, you want to really consider whether you want to keep that in there or not, okay? That's all I'm going to say about it. Yeah, sorry gents to end on a negative like that. I wasn't going to end with a negative like that actually, but I just got this out to have a look at it and just saw that just then. So it's kind of annoyed me because I haven't done a video in a while because I've been getting some grief about the, you know, telling you about the bad synchronizers and this sort of stuff. So, you know, I'm just wondering whether it's worth it or not. But there you go, that's dangerous. That's going to kill somebody. Should I keep quiet about that? Should I not tell you about that? Should I just accept that? You know, I don't want people to die. This thing is to have fun in, isn't it? It's not to kill you. And if it's to kill, you know, you're taking your family in it and things like that, I want them to be safe, okay? So it's kind of annoyed me a little bit, but hey, this thing's coming along really well. It drives great. It's a pleasure to drive now. I've got good steering components in there. I'm really happy. Got my filterette fitted, my Toby filterette under there, so he's all in there as well. We'll get these, the grill's getting straightened at the moment by a guy, so that's going to be straightened for me, and so's the other fender. They'll come back, we'll mount that all up, put the hood on here, and it'll look great. It'll drive and look great, get it all sprayed up, and it'll be finished, so it'll be awesome. And maybe I won't get grief about telling you about bad repro parts. So yeah, anyway guys, like that, subscribe if you like it, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy and be safe.